who are probably right there to research in the business of waste management. And you have the media, you have NGOs, and you have everybody. So everybody have been viewing, we've been presenting the waste management in a different perspective. And to a certain extent I've been productive, but to a large extent it can be discouraging too, because we've never been able to integrate views. So the program today is to bring the main players together so that we can come up with a common agenda. We can come up with a common understanding of the peculiarities of the business so that we can move forward. And in doing that, it's not just for Lagos State. LOMA, which is the Lagos State Public Enterprise, is the headquarters for IPLA. IPLA is the International Partnership for Local Authorities within the West African sub-region. So LOMA is the headquarters for IPLA in West Africa. And part of our program, part of our agenda, part of our mandate is the knowledge sharing among stakeholders. And I think that's why we are here right now, to make sure that we integrate our services, we integrate this knowledge, technical knowledge, financial mechanisms among stakeholders to make sure that we can move forward. And Lagos will not just be developing, others will develop alongside with Lagos.
We heard you say peculiar challenges, local solutions. I think that's a summary of what I heard you shout to us. How do you think states can do that together with the academia?
Yes, it gives the academia an opportunity for research. When you look at your potential, the local potentials, then you can now come up with adaptable solutions, indigenous solutions. And the academia can have materials to research in locally. And it's not just about the research findings in Europe that one to come and adopt. The research in Europe can form a baseline, can form a comparison for benchmarking, but you need your local peculiarities. You need your local potentials. We need to be able to establish it. We have a good weather, for example, in Africa. The prevailing temperature in Africa is quite different from what prevails in Europe. So when Europe is designing equipment designed for Europe, and they can always try to adapt for you. But why can't we come up with something ourselves? The typical example, the Sonic containers, we used to bring them from the US, and we used to import a bin at about $8.5 million, naira per bin. But because we're able to use our local potentials and local engineers and opportunities locally, we're not making the same bin at less than $1 million naira locally, using our local engineers, encouraging them. So there's a whole lot of research going on into that. We want our universities to be able to research into our local potentials and not just to become critics. It's not just about criticizing, it's all about cooperating for development.
What can the academia do, the research institutions do to ensure that all of this that are harvested don't go to waste?
Well, I think with due regard to the universities, the whole lot of work has been done on the research in the water hyacinth issue. And from the university, we already have solutions. The next line right now, is for regulators to create a business out of that solution. Those are part of the things we are talking about. What can a regulator do in creating the business? We already have a pilot scheme to show that water hyacinth, you can you can use them to animal feeds, you can use them for craft, you can use them for so many things. It's an asset on its own, if properly utilized. So the government can actually play the loss leader in supporting the investors, like most of the investment in waste management that we have in Lagos, for example. Government of Lagos have always played a loss leader in there. You know, we're keen into buying the deficits, the losses, and make sure the business will grow until when we win them out. And when we win them out, they can now become assets to the state government, paying taxes, employing our people, because government can facilitate it. So water hyacinth is another potential for business opportunities, and I'm sure we'll get there very soon, where we start making a business opportunities from water hyacinth.
Yes, we have a lot of people just dumping whatever electronics we don't need anymore just by the side. And are we doing anything about it?
Yes, we have an action plan on e-waste, and we are working together with LASEPA. We are working with a Basel Center at the University of Ibadan. We are working with the port authorities. We are working with NESTRA. So we have multi-layers action going on the e-waste program, and I can tell you it's a business waiting to happen also. Very soon you start seeing that we now have more investors coming to e-waste area. So it's you have a lot of assets in it than the problems.
In the And is there any advice for Nigerians? A lot of people, because of the economy, still go to buy these ones coming from outside the country, and it doesn't serve them for a long time. So that's where a lot of the bulk of the waste comes from.
Well, we have a shelf life for most of our electronic materials, and about the shelf life does not mean we cannot revive the shelf life. So the act of reuse we are promoting here, and we can still use some of them for a certain level of time, and when they become waste, then we cannot. It's a beginning of another business opportunities. So we shouldn't look at it as a problem, really. It's a business we can harness. It's a business for the research people, the research fellows to research and to reach. It's for all of us to regulate, and it's for investors to put in their money to make money out of it. Thank you.
What are the processes involved that you are the one helping Lagos to turn around pet
bottles?
Materials,
Yes.
tire?
Yeah, see PET bottles which are littering around and choking the gutters, which we are collecting used bottles and making it into a value-added product like polyester fiber, which are used for the furniture, for mattresses, for pillows, and so many other textile and non-textile grade applications.
Now, what are the other materials that the local people are involved in collecting
Yeah.
for recovery and reuse?
There are many of collectors who are locally involved. We have created almost, you can say, more than 5,000 to 6,000 jobs for the people who are collecting bottles for our centers. We have entrepreneurs who are Nigerian people who are facilitated by us for collecting and processing. Processing means baling, so sorting and baling at their centers and supplying the bottles to us. And we are recycling. My name is Suthar. I am General Manager of Alchem Nigeria Limited.
We have two names in Nigeria, Suthar who?
A.V. Suthar.
AV.
Aswin V. Suthar. Thank you.
Let me call Functional Waste Management System.
Well, we believe the academia should now be in a position to work with the Waste Management Authority in order to provide data, provide information for planning in waste management. There cannot be an excellent waste management practice where there is no good planning prior to the job. And the academia have data, they have information, they have research results which can help the LOMA and government for proper waste management and planning. Because take it or leave it, LOMA runs into a tight corner almost on a daily basis. They clear waste. Within a few hours, the place again is loaded with waste. Why is this? Because they do not know the turnover of waste deposition by the people in the community. And we in the universities, we in academia have this information because we are permanently studying waste recycling and waste management processes in the community. And therefore, we are there to be able to provide that information to LOMA and other waste management authorities in order for them to do better. And we are trusting that this will happen.
Very briefly, what do you expect the states to do together? Whatever is being done in Lagos should be emulated all around.
Oh, certainly. We are saying that whatever Lagos state government is doing, Lagos is a showcase. Lagos has done well. Lagos has improved waste management prices in this country. And what we are saying is that other states should copy from LOMA. Other states should copy from Lagos State the kind of approaches to municipal waste management that Lagos State has embarked upon. For example, using compactor trucks to move waste rather than open tipper lorries is a huge departure from the bad practice that used to occur before. And this is what we are encouraging the state government, other state governments to do, come to Lagos and learn.
Thank you very much.
We therefore need legislation, laws, guidelines, new ones on waste management to strengthen the capacity building for sustainable waste management. It's it's not adequate. They are doing well, but we are still not there. So I quickly go to the case which I want to use, because that study, this case study, came up with a set of drivers for a sustainable municipal solid waste management. A study was carried out on sustainable approach to waste management. The research group in their study visited 11 leading-edge waste management programs. 11 leading-edge waste management outfits were visited, as indicated there. And at the end of the study, they came up with some set of key drivers, which I want to draw attention to. The first driver there is that any waste management program must have a vision. That vision must include a stability process attached with it, otherwise it won't work. An examination of the critical mass that you are dealing with, because there are two approaches: either government pays completely, or every waste generator pays, which is to say the polluter pays principle. So I now use that to propose a set of drivers of sustainable waste management that will build on research capacity coming from universities or coming from academic institutions. The proposed drivers that I will now put on the table, as I said, is not completely my own creation, but deriving from the excellent case study from Europe that I said I'm using as the base. The first driver there is vision and stability. Secondly, critical mass. Thirdly, and very importantly, data management for projections, for planning, for resource and research capacity building. Adequate and available funding, legislation and enforceable guidelines, and public support. And I put up these pictures to describe my first, to tickle your mind on my first driver. These three gentlemen have something in common. And what would you expect that common thread among them is? Because you can vision, thank you very much. You can see that was this thing. Next, you can see our own sage, Obafemi Awolowo. Next, you can see Mandela. These are gentlemen who have huge vision. Loma has been displaying that, but we can't say that of most other waste management authorities in this country, and to waste management authorities in other developing jurisdictions that have had opportunity to work in. That vision must include the dedication of administrative and managerial responsibilities and whatever structure that we have for municipal solid waste management. Around the managing director of Loma alone, the managing director of Loma has, dissolved his power, not actually dissolved his power, but allowed a set of directors, a set of consultants to be able to assist in bringing up solutions and bringing out problems to it. Oh, okay, I'm off the microphone. Okay, so changes in government and political climate can also affect municipal solid waste management policies. For Nigeria and for Lagos State, that's also very important. Where we see changes in government and the political climate creating more problems. Where somebody is doing well, but for political reasons, they change in command structure in the waste management authority. And what do we then see? We see a dip in the solid waste management practice. So all these visions encompass more than just waste or integrated waste management activities. Rather, they place the municipal waste management issue within the larger context of urban resource management. So the point we are saying is that we need to have a vision which must be driven by the administrative command structure of the municipal waste management authority. Also, if you are going to have any philosophical shift where the concept of waste as something to be discarded has been transformed into a useful, valuable material called a resource, So that vision of the Waste Management Authority must be very clear that it is based on ensuring that waste is not just something to be discarded, but something that we can beneficiate, something we can turn into useful material for everybody's use. So we found out that for several programs in Europe and many countries that are doing well with waste management, this vision, this philosophy drives their process there as a key driver. Stability. Stability is so important. Every vision, however good it is dependent heavily on stability of the system. Hence, without stability, the vision may be bleak. Loma has done well. Somehow, we've had stability in Loma. Mr. Oreson and his team have been on board for a couple of years. We've not seen that in Loma for quite a while. Those of us who are outside, we see changes. One reason for the other, political things will happen. They change the man there, they change the thing. So that at the end of the day, we do not have a sustainable waste management practice. So stability is so important. Otherwise, any vision, however good it is, will be bleak. Also, municipal waste management investment and planning cycle must be much longer than the lifespan of any political office holders. That's why we are hoping that politically, Lagos State will still remain stable in 2015. Otherwise, if we have a change in government and a new government comes and throws away all this plan that we are sitting here putting together and all these arrangements that we see, then the whole business crumbles. Stable leadership is essential to enable the operation of effective waste management system. That statement is very key, that we need to have stability to run our vision, to get our drivers to work well. Critical mass. As a driver, we need to have enough waste to justify our infrastructure investment and sufficient program scale to be identified as a key driver. What we are saying here is that so far we have more than enough waste as a critical mass to justify the infrastructure we are putting in place. Loma has put in place so much infrastructure, so much waste carting vehicle, so much PSPs on board, all to tackle the quantum of waste that is coming up in Lagos State. Additionally, existing contracts with PSPs can also influence the alternatives for policy adoption or program change. Now, the size of the population serviced by the waste management system must play a significant role in whatever we are putting in place to that regard. All of these are considered under the driver of critical mass. We need to have this data in order for us to plan well. Now, let me point out that all the drivers that I'm putting on the table are the drivers in which we need adequate data. We need data on in order to be able to do a good job in planning. We need to have data on critical mass in order for us to get a good job done in terms of planning for waste management. And of course, control of the different waste streams, construction and demolition of waste sites will continue to play a major contribution for the use of material. If we do not have data on critical mass, then we are nowhere. And let me interspace all of this to say that most academic institutions, those of us who are doing research on waste management in the universities, at the University of Lagos, these are the kind of information we are gathering almost on a daily or monthly basis. I know Loma too is putting his own data together side by side, and once in a while we do have opportunities to engage each other and compare notes. Also some of my students building up some of these data. Adequate and available funding. That you cannot, I don't need to emphasize that more than necessary. I will just run through that because economic and financial factors always play a primary role in managing waste in Lagos State. It's not different in any region of the world. Almost on a daily basis, the cost of waste management continues to go up. So the evolution of waste management from the truck to the dump site to the integrated system that can be seen in many European countries today requires an investment of both time and resources. And we are glad that Lagos State has come to a realization that waste management costs money, and they decide to put money into it or ask the people to join in putting money into it. There is no free lunch. In countries where waste management is done very well, it's because a lot of money is invested in waste management. Remarkably, Loma is making effort in plunging in integrated systems, which is evident in the machinery and design of the Olusosun dump site, for example, with funds made available. But however, we are not there yet. And that's why we say it's a gradual process. In the same manner, access to capital, be it public or private, in the form of outside investments, loans, grants, subsidies, will continue to play an important role, both in program planning and system realization. So, we're almost there. Trend of waste management in 2 years. Trend of waste management in 2 years again. I show figures there and tabular data showing you the kind of quantities of waste that Mr. Oresoya and his colleagues continue to cut away almost on a monthly basis. And I say that the composition of the waste stream, which I also show here, showing that putrescibles as well as vegetables constitute a large chunk of the composition of the waste. So data suggests that vegetable could always be recycled and composted. And Loma is already doing that as much as it could. However, an extension of data collection is what we are suggesting here, to involve institutions, research institutes, universities, polytechnics in their data collection that they are doing. And that's what I'm proposing here. Extension of data collection. Then data utilization for simulation and understanding the waste stream is very, very important. Data simulation or data utilization via simulation is what is still missing in Loma now. And that's what I'm putting on the table that we need to get into. Because there are softwares that we can use. There are computer softwares to project long-term contamination on site, such as what we have, such as the Lansing 2.5 model. A few of my students have trained in the use of this model, and Loma can latch onto it, and we can do a lot of things with that kind of simulation models that I'm talking about. So furthermore, of course, groundwater vulnerability index. We have done a groundwater vulnerability index for Olusosun. That is, we can tell you all the people who live around Kudirat, Abiola, or Oregun axis. What is the vulnerability indices of their boreholes, of their water? We have that data with us at the University of Lagos. Fortunately, we can say very well that Olusosun is not contaminating the boreholes around Kudirat, Abiola, because Olusosun somehow, by the design and the fact that some scientific study went into setting up Olusosun, has an attenuated wall that blocks any seepage from Olusosun into wells around Kudirat, Abiola. What is interesting is that a tracer model that we did showed up contaminants from Olusosun was showing up in water in Lekki. I'm sure that is shocking to anybody. You would never imagine that Olusosun has any connection with Lekki. But geologically, we were able to confirm that and we were able to trace it. Now, finally, the other driver is that of enforceable guidelines. legislation and enforceable guidelines can either have positive or can constrain impact on waste management and sustainability. So enabling legislation often results in increased management flexibility. That is, legislation that sets final standards while allowing individual programs to define the means to reach the standards. So what we are saying here is that we can pass legislation, but the key thing is that we must have enforceable guidelines in whatever legislation we are passing. And I want to say that legislation has often helped to create more environmentally and socially responsible solid waste management systems. While much legislation has led to a lightening of waste management standards, certain legislation has undoubtedly led to system dysfunction. The point I'm making is that we can make laws, but we should not make laws that would cause a dysfunction, that would disrupt the entire system itself. We must make laws that are enforceable. We must make laws that can make for improved practices, rather than saying we want to make laws for law-making sake. Of course, public support, I've made emphasis on it, that community response to waste management is an important factor that can either foster or hinder program evolution. So we need public involvement through consultation, actual participation in decision-making processes. Consultation will include education, information sharing, and negotiation. And most municipal solid waste management have included the public through consultation. If we set up any municipal solid waste management prices and we are not involving the public, we are wasting our time. In fact, managers in Loma now do know that all their PSPs have no other option but to do public consultation, public education, public engagement. Otherwise, sometimes their trucks will get in there, they will set it on fire if they have not sufficiently consulted. So we need public support in whatever it is we are doing. The three of us must work in concert. Otherwise, things will break down. Loma cannot do it alone. That's why Loma needs to engage the academic institutions. Loma cannot do it without government. The academic institutions cannot do it without Loma. And all these three must work completely through collaboration, through grant giving, through enabling legislation from government for us to have a solid approach to practice. So in summary, it is immediately clear to us that there is no one correct way to manage waste. There is no one correct way to manage waste, or to create an integrated approach to waste management. Finally, I say the ability of the system to evolve, to operate optimally under constantly changing conditions will always depend on its flexibility and resilience, which many times can be constrained or facilitated by both external and internal drivers. Thank you so much. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, by the authority conferred on me, we will postpone question time to after the next paper. The next paper is going to be delivered by a young lady who is a site HSC manager at the moment, and she is a Bachelor of Science, Electrical Engineering holder from the only university called Oba Awon University. In Human Resources Management in Harvard, and did executive coaching at the University of Cambridge. Has experience in process engineering, has experience in production line management, has experience in health, safety, and environment. She will be discussing fostering resource efficient and zero waste strategies in Nigeria, the indispensable role of the private sector. She is no one else but Koinsola Buraimo, the site HSC manager. Koinsola Buraimo, you have the floor.
So like I said, so I'll just start with a brief introduction of the site. The site is located in Ibadan plant, the south